The Los Angeles Clippers, once a beacon of hope and potential in the NBA, are now grappling with a series of challenges that threaten to unravel their championship dreams. Following years of assembling a roster full of big-name players and lofty goals, the team's journey to victory has been hampered by a slew of setbacks and obstacles. The Clippers' fear is starting to come true, thanks to a string of injuries that have kept important players like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard out of action, as well as a lack of cohesion and consistency that has affected their play. Their problems have been made worse by coaching instability, poor defense, and tremendous pressure to win a championship. With the stakes rising in the fiercely competitive Western Conference, the Clippers are in a vulnerable spot, fighting to stay a legitimate contender. This in-depth video of the squad's current situation identifies 7 crucial elements that have contributed to their continuous difficulties and emphasizes the difficult path ahead for this once promising team. 1. The team is beset by injuries. The Clippers' main players have been plagued by injuries for a long time, which is one of the most obvious problems. The goals of the team are mostly dependent on the well-being and output of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, 2 of its best players. Despite being thought of as great talents, both players have struggled with injuries that have limited their ability to play a regular role. Since moving to Los Angeles, Kawhi Leonard, who is renowned for his outstanding defensive abilities and clutch performances, has been dealing with knee problems. His ACL tear in the 2021 playoffs was the first injury that plagued him, keeping him out of the game for the whole 2021 to 2022 seasons. Despite his comeback, there are still concerns about his health, as he experiences sporadic setbacks that impact his availability and effectiveness. The lineup's lack of consistency and stability as a result of Leonard's injury problems has reduced the team's performance as a whole. In a similar vein, Paul George has dealt with his fair share of injuries. Due to shoulder problems, George, an all-star forward noted for his adaptability and scoring prowess, has missed important games. Due to the shoulder problems, he has had less playing time and, as a result, less court effect. In addition to detracting from the team's performance, the confluence of these ailments casts doubt on their long-term viability and capacity for elite competition. 2. Inconsistency and lack of chemistry. Beyond just injuries, consistency and team dynamics are turning out to be major obstacles for the Clippers. It has not gone as well as expected when prominent players like Leonard and George are incorporated into the team's scheme. The rhythm and cohesiveness of the club have been hampered by frequent lineup changes brought on by injuries and roster modifications. A team's ability to remain consistent is essential for success, especially in the highly competitive NBA league. The Clippers have had difficulty assembling a consistent and potent team, which has resulted in inconsistent play and uncertain outcomes. The team's inability to develop into a cohesive one as a result of the lack of continuity has led to haphazard play and squandered opportunities. Success requires that players develop chemistry with one another, and the Clippers have had trouble doing this. The squad hasn't been able to establish the kind of cohesiveness needed to compete on a regular basis because of injuries and roster changes that occur frequently. As a result, the Clippers' success has been patchy, with sporadic moments of excellence being eclipsed by underwhelming performances. 3. High standards and stress. Star players like Leonard and George have brought the Clippers to prominence and raised the bar to unprecedented heights. There's been a lot of pressure on the team to win a title from the media, fans, and commentators. The players, as well as the coaching staff, may be greatly impacted by this pressure. Everything less than a title may be viewed as a failure in a setting when the wave of expectations is too great. The team's capacity to function at its peak may be impacted by this degree of monitoring, which can raise tension and anxiety levels. There are instances where the pressure to perform to the best of one's abilities has resulted in a sense of urgency that impairs judgment and execution on the court. It takes skill to control expectations, and the Clippers have had difficulty adjusting to the heavy scrutiny that accompanies being a title candidate. The pressure from the outside can exacerbate internal problems and make it difficult for the squad to stay composed and focused, particularly when things get tight during games. 4. Matchup problems and defensive struggles. The Clippers have struggled to sustain a solid defensive presence throughout games, even with a roster that is loaded with defensive talent. An NBA team's defense is its most important asset, and the Clippers have struggled in this department. An important difficulty has been the team's incapacity to deal with matchup issues successfully. The Clippers' defensive strategies have been exploited by opposing teams, especially when important defenders are injured or playing below par. The absence of a dependable defensive approach has made it relatively easy for opponents to take advantage of mismatches and score. The Clippers need to play better defense if they are to succeed. To stay competitive, the squad must improve their defensive strategies and handle matchup problems. The Clippers' capacity to maintain game control and restrict opponents' scoring opportunities will remain a formidable obstacle in the absence of a strong defensive base. 5. Uncertainty and coaching changes. A team's ability to succeed depends on its coaching staff, and the Clippers have had inconsistent coaching in recent years. A team's growth and success might be hampered by changes in the coaching staff and methods used. The Clippers have seen several coaching transitions, and with each came fresh ideas and methods for the group. While coaching changes are occasionally required for progress, numerous changes can cause uncertainty and inconsistent game plan execution. The team's difficulties in establishing and sticking to a winning formula have been exacerbated by the coaching staff's lack of consistency. Player development and team dynamics have also been affected by the uncertainty surrounding coaching selections. Building a great team requires establishing a clear and unified strategy, and the Clippers' coaching changes have made it more difficult for them to accomplish their objectives. 6. The Western Conference is competitive. One of the NBA's most difficult and competitive settings is still the Western Conference. In addition to fighting established titans, the Clippers also have to contend with a new generation of clubs who are gaining momentum and have talented players and robust rosters. It's getting harder for any club to finish first in the Western Conference and go deep into the playoffs as a result of the increased level of competition. The Clippers face formidable opponents on a regular basis, and each one brings unique difficulties. To survive in this cutthroat environment, one must consistently deliver outstanding results. The Clippers' struggles to hold the top spot in the conference serve as a reminder of how tough it is to compete in such a demanding league. The Clippers need to figure out how to get past the tough opposition and make an impression in the crowded Western Conference if they want to fulfill their dream of winning a championship. 7. Roster changes and front office decisions. The Clippers' front office choices have been instrumental in creating the current state of the team. Even if adding well-known players was meant to improve the team, not all of the decisions have had the desired effect. Uncertainty and a lack of depth have occasionally resulted from decisions made on trades, draft selections, and roster modifications. The management faces a constant struggle in assessing and modifying the roster to correct deficiencies and create a more cohesive team. The long-term future of the squad depends on the outcome of these choices. The front staff of the Clippers must make calculated decisions to bolster the roster and solve problem areas. Achieving success requires that the team possess the proper balance of depth and talent. The team's future and its capacity to overcome obstacles in the present will be greatly influenced by how well these choices are made. Final thoughts. Despite their goals and high-profile additions, the Los Angeles Clippers are dealing with a number of serious issues that have affected their play. The squad is experiencing all the bad things that could go wrong, including defensive lapses, high expectations, and a history of injuries. Their predicament is made more difficult by the competitive Western Conference and the effects of front office choices. The Clippers' success will largely depend on how well they handle and get beyond these obstacles as they negotiate these hurdles. Finding answers to these problems is crucial for a team hoping to win a championship in order to accomplish their ultimate objectives and quiet the doubters. Let us know in the comments what you think about the Clippers' nightmares coming true, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating content on our YouTube channel.